Our story begins inside of the Jedi Temple as Jedi Master Mace Windu has gathered Masters Fisto, Sazitin, and Aegon Kolar for a mission that would go down in the history books. They could not wait for Skywalker to return any longer. General Grievous has been destroyed, and it is time that Palpatine stepped down from his role as Chancellor. But as Mace moved towards the temple hangar, words from Yoda and Ki-Adi-Mundi in a recent meeting were still ringing in his head. Mundi had said that removing Palpatine from office may not be enough. His dictatorship over this republic has essentially been enshrined already. He has a supermajority of supporters in the Senate and in the courts. Mace knew they were right, but he also knew that Palpatine was a great danger to all of them, especially because Mace truly believed that the elusive Darth Sidious was still working with Palpatine in the shadows. And that is where Windu would remember something else. Yoda said that everything will seem so much easier once Sidious is destroyed, and Windu also believed this to be the case. Once Sidious is gone, maybe even Chancellor Palpatine will be willing to negotiate. Just moments later, though, Anakin Skywalker would return to the hangar, landing in front of them just before they could depart. As Mace looked into Anakin's eyes, it looked as if a huge storm were brewing behind them. Something had changed. Anakin tried as hard as he could to maintain the stoic, emotionless state that he's trained himself to hold on to around the Jedi Council as he told Windu the truth. Palpatine is Sidious. The Chancellor is the Sith Lord. For a brief second, Windu would nearly let his own veil of strength fall. He realized that all he has done, and all that has been done to him and the people of this republic, it was all for nothing. Because it was all done to save a republic that was lost the day that Palpatine was elected, and the Jedi Order that Mace has grown and risen into has been blindly defending the corpse of the Republic. But he didn't show any of this on his face. Instead, he told Anakin to wait in the chambers until they return. But as Mace turned away, Anakin reached out, grabbing Mace by the arm. He told the Jedi Master that they're going to need him on this one. He won't be able to stay away. And Mace heard this. Even if Anakin listens, even if he does stay behind, it will not be long until he follows. Anakin basically just admitted as much. So, Mace motioned for Anakin to board the gunship. He would figure something else out. The gunship would take off through the orange glow of Coruscant, and all 5 of the Jedi inside of the ship knew everything was about to change, one way or another. Kit Fisto hated the silence, so he admitted that he wished Yoda was here, or Plo Koon, or Obi-Wan, but Anakin interrupted, saying they don't need any of them. They have him, the chosen one, right? Anakin looked to Windu and the others, almost begging for any of them to give him their trust. And finally, Kit Fisto did give a small smile, telling Anakin that's right. They can do this. After all, it's 5 Jedi Masters versus 1 man. These words did give Anakin the relief and the trust he was looking for. Obviously, he was not a Jedi Master yet, but this was assurance that the promotion was coming. And everything would become a blur of nerves and a bit of fear until the Jedi reached the doors to Palpatine's office. The Red Guards had already been sent away, which was obviously unusual, but it made it immediately known that Palpatine was expecting them. But before the first set of doors opened, Mace Windu paused and he turned to Anakin. He told the boy to guard the doors until they return. If the Red Guards return, or if the clone troopers come to the door, Anakin must be the one to hold them back. Anakin was completely dumbfounded. All he could say was, "What?" Followed by a rising, "How dare you? You need me." And these arrogant words, ironically, sparked Windu's own arrogance, as he told Skywalker the only thing they need from him is to listen to orders for once. And he told him once more to guard the door, but he is free to enter the room if he hears any sort of true fighting or struggle inside. Anakin shook his head, biting his lip so he didn't say anything else. But he was thinking a lot. Padme's life was in danger. The battle for the galaxy, and potentially for her life, would be taking place in the room behind him, as he stays behind like a guard dog. He hated it, but he gave a small nod, and the other 4 Jedi would move past him into the office. The doors sealed, and Anakin could only hear small muffles from inside. Beyond the door, Palpatine smiled at the Jedi. This was even better than he could have imagined. It was almost like they wanted Anakin to join him. And so, after exchanging some fake pleasantries, almost like a scripted play, Darth Sidious got to work. He ignited his red blade, and he prepared to kill the Jedi. But before he attacked, Sidious made sure to raise his voice loud enough for Anakin to hear on the other side. He yelled, "Help! Help! Security! Someone! Anyone, please! This is treason! Murder!" And then, with a flick of his wrist, Sidious locked the office doors from the inside, and he spun in at the Jedi. From behind the doors, Anakin would hear Palpatine desperately calling for help, and he knew it was a mistake to wait out here. Anakin reached for the door handle, and he pulled, but it didn't budge. So he tried again, and again, but nothing. It was locked. And as anxiety built up inside of Anakin, he realized Windu tricked him. He locked the doors. He was going to murder Palpatine without trial. Anakin stepped back, and he unleashed a huge force push on the door, but it barely moved. He tried again and again, but the door was seemingly built to withstand this type of force. Anakin didn't know what to do, and beyond the door, he could now hear the sounds of lightsabers crashing against each other. Beyond the doorway, Darth Sidious spun away from the purple and green blades of Windu and Fisto, slowly backing up towards his desk. The two Jedi stepped over the slaughtered bodies of Sazitin and Aegon Kolar, and slowly began their pursuit towards the smiling Darth Sidious. The duel was confined to this one smaller room. The hallways and the ceremonial office could not be reached, so the three survivors were fighting in this private office. It was much smaller than the main office. Instead of red carpet, it was lined with metallic floors and walls, and the transparent steel window stretched wide across the full wall. Regular citizens flying in speeder traffic outside would see flashes of red, purple, green, and as the fight moved towards the desk, Sidious flipped over Mace Windu, hitting him with a force push to send him crashing to the floor, and he then faced Fisto alone. Kid Fisto swung in. Sidious quickly dodged a strike, cut off his hand, then grabbed Fisto by the neck, slamming his head into the desk. As Windu got back to his feet, Sidious would cut right through the desk, and right through the neck of Kid Fisto, as his head would roll to the floor. Mace Windu would then hold his blade up, not letting this get to him, and he circled around Sidious. From outside of the office, Anakin tried using a force push a few more times. He would plunge his blade into the door, but it was so thick, this would take far too long. And finally, Anakin had a better idea. He sprinted through the hallway, bursting into the main office, igniting his lightsaber, cutting through the large window as he jumped out of it. Anakin began sliding down the sloped building, trying his best to guide his quick descent. And after 500 meters of sliding down, he used the force to land, rolling on the ground, and Anakin sprinted towards the landing pad, where the gunship that he rode over here was still waiting. Anakin ordered the clone pilot to get out, and he hopped into the pilot seat, then took off, flying up across the building to the other side of it. And finally, Anakin saw the office, red and purple sheets colliding into each other, and Anakin's stomach dropped as he saw the red one get cut apart. Anakin flew the gunship closer to the window, and he would see Master Windu holding up his purple blade. Palpatine was next to the window, hands up, defeated. Inside of the office, Mace would decide it was time to end this. But right as he was about to swing down and kill Sidious, he looked up, seeing a clone gunship just outside of the window, and a man would jump out from the pilot seat. Anakin. Just a second later, Anakin crashed hard through this window, and he kicked Windu right in the chest. The impact would tear the breath from Windu's lungs. He was sent rolling through the room, crashing hard into the doorway that he left Anakin behind not long ago. His lightsaber was dropped from his grasp, and as Anakin stood up, he pulled the purple blade into his open hand, igniting both his own blue saber and Windu's purple one. And from the door, Windu was dazed, but he would center himself with the force enough to regain his composure. He got to his knees, but it seemed to be over. Standing in front of him was Anakin Skywalker, the dark side coursing through him. Anakin held out both blades in an X, crossing them over Mace Windu's neck, the same way he did with Dooku just days ago. Sidious couldn't contain his laughter. It was spilling out as he stared at Mace Windu and Anakin, and he told Anakin to finish it, complete his ascension into the dark side, and together they will discover the power to save Padme's life. This was all Anakin needed to hear. He hesitated a bit, but Windu wasn't done yet. As Anakin and Sidious were distracted by each other, Windu had let his emotions overcome him for the first time. For so long, Mace Windu has been the master of Vapad, balancing the light and dark inside of him, but he couldn't do it anymore. The Chancellor being Sidious, the Republic collapsing, the Chosen One turning against the Jedi, 3 of his friends slaughtered on the floor next to him. It was too much. Windu felt the dark side. He allowed himself to embrace it before death takes him. But as he embraced the darkness, he felt something, almost like a soft wine, like a kyber crystal. And Mace realized there was another lightsaber that belonged to Sidious hidden away in here. And with the dark side coursing through him, Mace would open his hand, letting the dark side guide the blade right into his hand. And so, right as Anakin began to move the 2 sabers to kill Windu, one of the statues near the door exploded, and a red blade flew into Mace's hand. He ignited the red blade, pushing it right into the side of Anakin Skywalker. Anakin gasped, dropping both sabers to the floor as Windu could feel the ozone from them nearly cutting his head off. Anakin fell to his knees. Sidious stepped back, nearly tripping over a small step as Mace Windu turned to him. The red blade seemed to fit Windu so naturally, and the glow of it reflected in Windu's eyes, making them seem like a dark red yellowish color. Anakin was down, writhing on the floor. Windu had stabbed him in a spot to keep him alive, but leaving him unable to stand with any sort of power. Sidious scowled, blasting lightning right at Windu, but the Jedi held up the red blade to block it, sending the lightning right back at Sidious. The lightning hit Sidious hard, and Windu then reached out his hand, using the Force, pushing the lightning into Sidious. It burned off Sidious's fingers, leaving them mangled, broken, and Windu lunged forward, cutting off Sidious's left leg right at the knee. Sidious fell down, only to be met with Windu's knee right into his jaw. Sidious flew backwards. Anakin groaned out, telling him to get up. He needs him. Padme needs him. But Windu reached out, grabbing the broken Sith Lord in a Force choke. Sidious did everything he could, but the life would be choked out of him. And finally, he was dropped to the floor, dead. Mace Windu felt the darkness inside of him, and it didn't subside as he turned to see the bodies of Fisto, Tin, and Kolar. They were dead, killed by the Dark Lord. Anakin had climbed up to a seated position. He glared at Windu, telling him that he killed her. He just killed Padme. Mace didn't understand, but he looked outside of the shattered window, and he saw the gunship that Anakin took to get here, still floating on autopilot. Mace used the Force to bring it in closer, and he would pull Anakin up, putting his arm over his shoulder, and they climbed into the gunship. Mace set Anakin down, as he was still writhing in pain from the stab wound. Mace assured Anakin that he would survive this, but he would not be forgiven for his actions today. Anakin, slumped against the gunship wall, would finally pass out from the wound, the shock, and the mental anguish of knowing the man who could have saved Padme was dead. And upon landing at the temple and getting medics to the gunship, Mace Windu immediately took off to the council chambers. He got into the room, alone, collapsing into his chair, putting his head into his hands. The hold of the dark side was strong, and Windu knew he could resist it if he truly tried, but there were voices in his mind telling him not to let go, because he knew what might come next. The Senate, the courts, they were beyond corrupt. They were being run by the Sith, and it seemed certain that Mas Amedda would step in, continue this rise of dictatorship, unless a Jedi forces himself into the top spot as Chancellor. Windu felt lost. He sat here for hours, knowing he might make the wrong choice if he leaves this room. But eventually, the doors would slide open, and Grand Master Yoda would make his way inside, telling Windu that Shakti has been working with Republic security and the Senate to inform them of what has happened. And as Yoda took a seat next to Windu, he told Windu that he can sense the dark side surrounding him. Mace would admit to Yoda that he is afraid. When he killed Sidious, it wasn't for the Republic. It wasn't for justice. It was for revenge. He took his time to kill him because it felt good. Yoda was silent for a long moment, but he then told Windu that these feelings are natural, especially considering the circumstances. Yoda knew how much Mace Windu cared for the Republic, and although Mace would never admit it, he has formed an attachment to it. He would choose to keep the Republic over the Jedi Order, because he doesn't think the galaxy can survive without it. And Yoda said now that what makes a true Jedi is the ability to acknowledge these feelings of darkness, let them pass out of oneself. Yoda told Windu that the light has always guided him, and it is still alive in him. After all, he did decide to keep Anakin alive, despite everything that happened. And now, Windu would lift up his head, asking Yoda how he knows what happened with Anakin, and Yoda smiled slightly, saying that Palpatine activated the audio recorders in his office, thinking he would ultimately be victorious and be able to manipulate the recordings in his favor. But they now make it sound pretty clear. He was caught urging Anakin to join him in the dark side and help him rise in his new empire. Yoda said that these recordings have been turned over to the Senate. Mace would feel relief wash through him, realizing what this meant. The galaxy was going to recover. The Senate, despite all of the corruption, would not give the keys of the galaxy to a disciple of Palpatine. They couldn't. It would have to be a new election, and the people would almost certainly choose someone new and fresh. This reminded Windu of something else from the battle, Padme Amidala. Anakin was saying she was going to die, and so Windu finally got out of his chair, thanking Yoda for everything, and he would take off to the Senate apartments. The morning sun was rising on Coruscant, as Padme was going through the morning briefing with the breaking news about Palpatine. She was extremely worried about Anakin, as he was out of contact and was supposed to spend the rest of the night here with her. But she felt relief when a Jedi speeder landed at the apartment, only to feel immediate dread when it was Windu who arrived. And Padme couldn't hide it any longer. She just asked if Anakin is alright, knowing it would blow their cover, but everything was falling apart anyways. Windu said Anakin is alive, recovering, and he would go on to tell her everything. When it was all in the open, Padme would tell Windu that Anakin is the father of her child, and he's been having nightmares of her dying in childbirth. Mace asked about doctor reports, and Padme informed him that everything came out perfectly fine. And now Mace would begin to see that Palpatine's manipulations of Anakin ran far deeper than he ever could have expected. Not only did the Dark Lord manipulate Anakin's thoughts on the Jedi, but he may have infiltrated Anakin's mind, poisoning it with darkness. All of this happened while the Jedi had Anakin spying on the Chancellor. The boy was in a tough spot, but in the end he survived, and Mace assured Padme that she will survive as well. A couple of hours later, Anakin would wake up in the temple medical bay, back to patch over his wound. He'd been put into a tank for many hours, and now he was out of it, but there were ray shields all around him, keeping him confined in here. He felt hopeless for Padme, but as he closed his eyes, the darkness that has lived inside of his heart and mind seemed to have dissipated. And soon, Obi-Wan and Ahsoka would enter alongside Padme, as they would help Anakin to remain calm. And that same day, there would be a trial among the members of the Jedi Council, where they would vote whether or not Anakin would remain as a Jedi. The only collective evidence of any wrongdoing came from audio recordings, so this decision would essentially be up to Mace Windu alone. And as Anakin stood in the center of this trial, Windu told the Jedi that the Sith infiltrated every level of the Republic, whether it was the office of the Chancellor, the Senate, courts, banks, the army, and even the Jedi. The Sith snuck by every single one of them, and the Sith chose Anakin as their future vessel. They failed, because when the moment came, Anakin hesitated just enough to kill Windu, allowing Windu to finish it. So, Windu would say that his decision is that Anakin should not be expelled from the Order, and the vote would then be unanimous. Anakin would remain as a Jedi, and it would not be long until Padme gave a safe, healthy birth to twins Luke and Leia. Windu would take responsibility of being a leading Jedi in the Senate, helping organize planetary elections for the next Chancellor. Every single system in the Republic would have their people vote, and the senator of that world would be forced to vote for who the people chose. This would result in Bail Organa winning to become the next Chancellor of the Republic. He would help to unite the Separatist worlds back with the Republic, using the Jedi to help as well. Anakin and Windu's relationship would reach a climax that was many years in the making, inside of the Chancellor's office. And from here, they would finally be able to just rebuild a relationship that had been shattered, as Windu understood the darkness that Anakin embraced, because he had felt it as well. Mace would work with Anakin, teaching him how to truly let go of it, helping pave the path for the Chosen One to guide the galaxy in a time without war. And folks, that is our story for today. One I enjoyed a lot, and one I hope you did as well. One that took quite a bit of inspo from the Revenge of the Sith novelization, at least at the beginning. Obviously, because in that novel, Windu dies. So, anyways, I enjoyed this one quite a bit. Just having Anakin, get to go with, but then it results in him getting to the battle earlier. Obviously, all the other 3 Jedi still die, but the fight still takes place, just in a different room. And yeah, I mean, it makes Anakin kind of have to make a different decision when he arrives through the window instead of the door. And I don't know, changes a lot, so I enjoyed this one. Putting Windu in a position that Dooku was in, and having him kind of embrace the dark side, find the red lightsaber, I thought that was fun. Hope you did as well. Yeah, let me know what you thought down below. Let me know what you want to see next. I guess I don't have a ton else to say about this one. It was good, I liked it. Hope you did. I've said that 3 times already, so I'm gonna go. Appreciate you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.